Hello and welcome to Sheepdog Says. I'm Sheepdog, and today I want to talk about my trip to Comicon in Birmingham. I've just got back, literally been in the door 5 minutes. I left the house about 7:30 this morning, so it's been quite a long day. It's like 8:30 now on the dot actually. Yeah, I had a really good day. I had a bit of an odd one. I've realised I'm incredibly British. And well, in some ways, in other ways, I'm not at all. In other ways, I'm an absolute monster. I arrived at the event, and I have a habit with Comic Con, and it's one of my biggest pro tips for anyone who ever goes to these events. Do not just join the horde and walk in a queue. All the British people walk in a queue behind one another in a massive queue of several thousand people, whilst I just basically walk at my own speed and overtake thousands of them, and then get to reach the front of like the entrance and go through with whatever people are there when I get there. Everyone seems to say, I don't know, my normal speed's 5 mile an hour or whatever, I don't know. Everyone just decides to walk at this 2 mile an hour traipse, and you don't need to. No one stops you, just walk at normal speed. So that wasn't very British, but when I got in there, I just kept not I just wasn't being myself. It was bizarre. So I wanted to go and buy a load of comics. That was my plan. It's Comic-Con. I had some bits I wanted to get my kids. So I always do like one run round to look at everything, and then another run round to buy stuff that I want to get. I was looking for comics, and I couldn't find any, which is bizarre. It's Comic-Con. Well, I could find single issues. So if you wanted like Iron Man number 172, you could probably have found it quite easily. But if you wanted a trade paperback of like the best Iron Man stories, or you know, in my personal hunt, it was more for some DC comics that I quite like and I haven't read, or you know, some new big stories a bit along the lines of Saga and Wicked and Divine, or Giant Days, or just something I wanted to. At London Comic Con, they have these stacks and stacks of trade paperbacks, and you can kind of stand above them all. And you know, some of them you just look at because the cover sounds cool or the title sounds cool. But usually, I'm able to go, I know what that is. I'll buy that, and that. Here's like 50 quid, whatever, and off I go. That just didn't seem to be at this event. There was one stall I found that they just had them piled up willy-nilly with a load of toys and stuff, and rather than going through them, I tried to just kind of tilt my head and read the titles of a couple of them, and then the store owner stood in my way to take money from somebody, and I just kind of stood behind him for a while, thinking I didn't want to interrupt his transaction. And then after about 60 seconds of just standing behind him, I basically, I think he turned around to walk, said excuse me, I apologised, and then thought, oh, how rude have I been? You know, I just kind of left. I just fled the table, just because I don't know what I'd done. I felt like I'd just embarrassed myself and left. It was odd. It was a bit of a bizarre scenario. But then I was wandering around then, thinking, I need to get some bits. Come on, what's going on? I went up to a table so I said, there didn't seem to be any comics anywhere. And I did 2 laps. And then as I was going around to try and return to some bits, it was like a table had been set up in the middle of it that it can't have been there the first time, at least, that I went round. But it suddenly did have a load of trade paperbacks set out. So I thought, yeah, brilliant. Maybe they just were setting up. It was still early days. You know, maybe they just had to get there. Maybe they covered up the table for some reason and then uncovered it on my third run through. So I walk over and I'm looking at the different titles, and I picked one up because I thought, I think I've heard of this. I might have even read it. I'm reading the back, and the guy goes, oh, yes, I think it was Green Lantern Rebirth. Green Lantern Rebirth, that's the one where, you know, Hal Jordan returns to the Green... And I was like, oh, all right. I put it down. I picked up another one, and he was like, oh, that's the one where Grant Morrison, his last time doing whatever. And I was just like, Jesus, mate, all right, I'm just looking. But in my head, out loud, I'm like, oh, cool, okay. So I put it down. I pick up another one, and he's like, "Oh, if it's Justice League you're looking for, why did..." And I was just like nodding away, and he's telling me all about this comic. And in the end, I just said, "Oh, I need to go draw some money out," and just left. I mean, I didn't even remember what. I think the man was saying, "I take card" or whatever, but I was just gone. I was like, "Nah, if you're gonna talk to me every time I touch a book, I ain't buying from you, mate." Like, I get what he's doing, and I appreciate that. You know, he's trying to advise me. He's trying to give me a nod. He was trying to be knowledgeable. You know, he enjoys talking about them. He's doing good customer service, but I was in ultra British mode, and I didn't want to be spoken to. You know, if he'd have just said to me, "That's £10" or "That's £8, thank you very much, sir," I'd have been very happy. But the fact that he wanted to engage me on a geeky level and talk to me absolutely horrified me. So I ended up I never went back. I think I hovered by him briefly, because what I ended up doing, being ultra sheltered and closed off, was I went away and I googled the books that I wanted to know more about that I'd seen on his thing, and then I went near his table, and he was too busy telling this woman he'd never read these 3 books she was looking at, but he recommended other ones, and I just thought, I can't deal with this man. So I just left it. So I actually came back with no comics. I did convince myself that if I'm that bothered about him talking to me, maybe I should just stick to Amazon for these. Amazon and London Comicon. London Comicon is the one where they have these masses of tables all set out. There's too many people and too many comics for the man to engage me one-to-one and start talking to me about comics. Whereas this Birmingham Comicon was much smaller. And yeah, I guess he just thought he'd pounce on me. It was very intimidating. I felt like half the stuff he told me I already knew, because I've read a lot of these, you know. I'm not trying to pretend I'm some sort of major comic book nerd, but I definitely knew bits and pieces of what he was saying. He didn't need to tell me what some of the books I was picking up were about. I knew where they fit and that sort of thing. But it felt a bit like if I asked a question or said something I didn't understand, he'd be like, I knew you were a poser. And then I'd be shamed, and I'd never be allowed at Comic-Con again for as long as I lived. So that was really awkward. I noticed suddenly that it was about 11:30ish, and that Spurs were going to be playing about 12:15. And I thought, well, I'll nip to the Wetherspoons and I'll ask them if they're going to show the game. Because if they're showing the game, then I'll buy some lunch, I'll sit down and I'll watch it, just because, do you know what? I couldn't find Kev at this point, so I was like, I'm on my own. What do I enjoy doing? This stuff and watching football. I'll do that. So I went into the Wetherspoons. I got up to the bar, and the guy's like, "How can I help, mate?" And I said, "Are you gonna show the FA Cup on the telly later at all?" And he was like, "No, mate. Sorry, what you drinking?" And in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh no, I'm all right, mate. It's 11:30. Don't need a drink. I was only in here to find out if you had the football on. That's okay, thank you. I am off." But again, being British, I just kind of went, "Oh, I should have picked before I came to the bar." And I'm scanning it, thinking, "Where's the Coke? Is it Coke? Is it Pepsi? Do I have coffee? What does this place sell?" And I basically just went, "Oh, I'll have a Sam McGill, please, mate." And I'm looking at my phone, thinking, it's 11:45. I don't want a lager. I don't want anything. I only wanted football. I don't have anywhere to sit with this pint of beer. So he pulls the pint and charges me a bloody £5 for it. And I just had to sit on my own on a chair, just nursing it. I just sat there and I thought, why did I order this? I don't want this. What am I doing? I text Kev in the hope... he never eats at the Wetherspoons when we're there. He normally goes to the Subway or something like that. But I texted him and said, are you likely to need food? I've got us a table. You know, hoping he'd go, "Oh, yeah, brilliant. Let's go sit at the table." And I could somehow salvage this situation. But he texted going, "I'm going to the Subway." Interestingly, I managed to arrive at the Subway just as he sent the text. So it looked like I'd just appeared out of thin air. So that was much more interesting. I got to wander around with him and his daughter, Amy. And yeah, we played a Harry Potter game for a bit. That was quite cool. The woman was talking us through all the instructions and the rules and that. I feel like we were being British again, because we didn't... once we'd had a round of it. I mean, we were playing it with Amy, so that was good fun, and she was enjoying herself. But I think we kind of just humoured the lady teaching us about it a lot more than maybe we should have done. We got the game quite quick, and we could have carried on, but I was just in ultra British mode. But yeah, I did buy some things, just to go on to the other point. I kept them in the bag. I got my son a Hoto Pokemon because he's obsessed. I've never noticed, well, I have, it's just a massive turkey. I don't know if its bum folds out or what. Oh, it does. Brilliant. It didn't look quite right. So it is just a turkey, basically, but it's not. It's a psychic legendary phoenix bird thing, but it looks like a turkey. But he's very happy with that. He actually burst in about 5 minutes ago, and well, maybe 10 minutes ago. So if you notice the video kind of go whoop slightly, it's because he burst in on me. Another ultra British moment of me. I brought a Lobo pop vinyl. I've only read about him a couple of times in the comics, but he's a character that he's in the mobile game DC Legends, and he's like they introduced him as a character who has a move called Banned from the Afterlife, and what happens is when he's killed, if you have, for every player you have alive in your team, he has a 33% chance of coming back from the dead. So if you've got 3 people alive in your team, he will always come back. If he's the last person, he will definitely die, and then the odds shorten. So he's an absolutely fantastic character to have in your team because he basically will help you overcome any difficulty. I like his kind of phrases. He just feels like biznatch. He calls everyone biznatches and stuff like that. He's just generally a funny character. Seems quite cool. I like him, in the pop vinyl, which I would get him out of the box, but I don't want to wreck it on camera and upset myself. But he's got a cigar in his mouth, a machine gun, and the thing that he swings around, which is a massive blade. Again, being ultra British, I made a massive mistake and I didn't bother correcting it, even though it was to my detriment. There's 2 versions of this. There's the one you see before you, and there's the exact same one, even number 231, but he has blood splattered all over him. And it was the blood splatter one that I wanted, but the non-blood splattered one was the one I received. And I don't know why. I can't explain myself, but I just accepted it and bought it and went away. And I mean, it's not like it's not like it's going to matter. It looks cool. I'm going to put it up there. It's not like, I don't know, the blood splattered one's going to suddenly be worth 500 quid in a year and I'm going to be stuck with the one worth a tenner. I'm not, you don't buy them for that. That'd be a foolish thing to buy them for. No, I don't know. I was explaining to Kev's daughter Amy that I might just get some red paint or buy some pig's blood and just kind of splatter it across it, and then put it on my shelf because, yeah, I don't know. If I'm that desperate for it to be bloody, I can do that. Otherwise, I don't know why I'd have to use real blood. Red paint would do, ketchup would do. I don't know about you, but my daughter, those of you with children, but my daughter is obsessed with sour sweets, warheads especially. I don't know if I'm just a really bad parent, but I spent a lot of time trying to find like ridiculously sour food. These are quite sour. My daughter likes them and she loves just sour food. And I kind of thought if I get something that's extremely, extremely sour, she'd quite enjoy the challenge of, oh, I wonder if it's going to be dangerous. I wonder if it's, and it won't be. Obviously, I wasn't going to get a poison. But I don't know how strong these are. I said to her, if they're really strong, well, if I find something really strong, we could do a little video where we try them out, But I have no idea what to expect with these warheads because they seem to be, well, sometimes they're all mouth, but then we did buy some little tablety ones at Comicon last year, and I expected that to be weak and easy, and it destroyed my mind. She was eating them like they were nothing, but it did destroy my mind. So these could be the same. She also told me she's obsessed with Shopkins, which I knew she was obsessed, but she said to get her something from that, so I did. So I'm hoping she'll like that. And that is everything. I've just got an empty bag left over. So, I mean, I didn't really get that much. It was quite, normally I come back with a massive sack of stuff, but I got one pop vinyl, one plush from my son, and some sweets from my daughter. My wife said, well, "What did you get me?" And I was like, "Oh God, whoops." No, but there was nothing. Everything she'd asked for wasn't there. But yeah, no, I had a good event. It was good fun. Sometimes I wonder whether I should just save it all for the London one, and just because I probably didn't spend more than 50 quid today in total, really, plus petrol, I suppose. But if I'd funnel all of that into the next one in 2 months' time, I could have got 10 books, which I just would have put in my pile of shame and not read. But still, there'd have been 10 books that I then owned. But yeah, no, I recommend it. I think that's everything I did. I've made a quick rundown because I was trying to recap the day. I spent the afternoon. So Kev introduced. Well, he waited and met one of his subscribers, Shaz, I think. Her name was, that's her username. Sorry, I know you probably watch it, Shaz, but it's really good to meet you. And I'm thinking it was daughter, sister, something like that. Friend, I can't remember. I'm terrible. I'm really sorry. But that was cool because it was interesting seeing how many followers Kev had just come up to him and say hello. Yeah, it was really nice to see that. And then I went and met with my friend Tony, who I'm doing a lot of writing projects with, and we just sat and brainstormed. We're working on a few scripts. We're working on some bigger projects, like just loads of really cool stuff. I'm hoping I'll do some videos about that in future. There'll probably come a time when I'll need your support in terms of just like watching or following or spreading the word on things we're working on. I might need your skills, whatever. At the moment, it's all just we've got a lot of writing to do, and that was just great. We sat in a coffee shop. I was like a genuine writer. Sat in a coffee shop with my MacBook open, just tapping away, writing notes and whatever. And yeah, we got a lot of work done. And then I had the arduous 2-hour drive home. I am confused, and if anyone can explain this for me, then let me know. But somewhere between Birmingham and my house, it said to me that I was about 30 miles from home, but it was going to take an hour. And I thought, oh great, there's traffic somewhere, because I was obviously doing 60 or 70 when the mileage allowed. And yeah, it took an hour, but there was no stops. There was no traffic. I didn't go, like, unless I was at a roundabout and I slowed down slightly to drive around it, I was doing 60 or 70 the entire time, unless the speed limit was lower. I just can't work out how doing 30 miles at mostly 60 or 70 is a thing. I must have gone through a time warp or something, because unless I'm completely misunderstanding maths, I thought if you did 60 mile an hour for half an hour straight, you'd have done 30 miles. Is that not right? Is that not how this works? A mile a minute? I'm confused. But anyway, it happened. Yeah, I don't really get that journey. Let me know in the comments if you understand it yourself. Maybe I just phased out for all the bits where I was stopping. I don't know. Anyway, let me know if you went to Comicon today and what you got. Let me know if if you have any questions, whatever. So hit subscribe, hit like, leave me some comments, and yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.